even though the Lions don't play until Monday night against San Francisco, Wings and Pistons still had some playing to do this weekend. For the Pistons, they continue their run toward trying to make the play-in tournament and putting themselves in the playoff race for the second half of the season, while the Wings, they're trying to get some identity and bounce back. And for the Wings, a lot of changes came this week, and for all the good reasons this time. We'll talk about that in a bit. But for now, let's take a look at how the Wings and the Pistons fared in this version of Detroit Sports Recap this week.
Detroit basketball!
We're starting off with the Pistons this week as the Pistons wrapped up their road trip out west. As the Pistons had pretty much a successful road trip capped off after that win against Phoenix the week prior. They continued the road trip out in Los Angeles against the Lakers, where they beat the Lakers and split the season series against the Lakers. Hell, even the Lakers called up Bronny James up from the minors to try and guard Cade Cunningham. It did not end well, because what Bronny James is fucking useless and he sucks ass. And he's just riding his daddy's coattails. Then the Pistons, they took that momentum from the Lakers and then went to Sacramento. And even play struggling against the Sacramento Kings for the most part. The Pistons would then show their grit, as at one point we're down by like 19, 20 points, but would claw their way back in and would take the lead late, tie the game with 3, and then take the lead on a foul shot with 3 seconds left to steal the win from Sacramento. When it looked like they were going to get blown out against the Kings, they clawed their way back in and went up in Sacramento, up in NorCal for the second year in a row. And the road trip ends with them losing out in Denver against the Nuggets. But honestly, they mainly won the West Coast win, as they had to take a stop in Denver on the way back to Detroit. And of course, the game against Denver, that's their last game of 2024, as their next game won't be until New Year's Day, January 1st, 2025, when they're home to Orlando. So the Pistons have wrapped up their 2024 portion of the season, 32 games down. And the Pistons still sit 10th in the Eastern Conference. Still within straight in the shot of play-in tournament, as right now the Pistons are setting themselves up pretty well the second half of the season in that playoff picture. It'll be interesting to see if the Pistons can keep that momentum up in the second half of the season. Now turn our attention to the Red Wings. Well, the Wings week started off rough with a shutout loss against St. Louis on their last game before the Christmas break. And honestly, it was a good thing the Christmas break came at a good time, as of course the fan base was getting fed up. There was nothing going right with the Wings. And then Derek alone in his post-game press conference said that they needed the Christmas break, and that they were looking forward to it. It's like, oh yeah, we are looking forward to it, because the Christmas break is the perfect time to finally do what's right. As Derek Lalonde, NHL coaches exist for 2 reasons: to be fired and to be fired again. And Derek Lalonde, we hope you like the color pink, something that needed to be done. As during the Christmas break, the Wings did an uncharacteristic move, finally firing Derek Lalonde. It's okay, folks, the bald man can't hurt you no more. Gru didn't steal the moon, he got launched straight into it. The Wings fired Derek Lalonde mid-season, which is pretty uncharacteristic, because the Wings real rarely fire a coach mid-season. Usually they let head coaches' contracts expire because of that loyalty bullshit. But the Wings finally learned that they cannot have loyalty to get them anywhere, because it usually gets them a one-way ticket to hell. Plus, I think a lot of the fan base calling out Chris Ilitch and saying a real organization would have fired Derek Lalonde a long time ago. And I think eventually also adding me calling Chris Ilitch a trust fund baby on Twitter. And I think that might have been finally the breaking point. If that was the breaking point to get Lalonde fired in the Wings, and for Chris Ilitch and the Wings to show they are a real franchise, all I say is, happy to help. And for the Wings, they have hired their new head coach, as they hired Todd McClellan in for his 4th stint in the NHL, as he's had 3 previous stints with the San Jose Sharks, Edmonton Oilers, and Los Angeles Kings. But he has Detroit connections, because you see, Todd McClellan, he was an assistant on Mike Babcock's 2008 Stanley Cup winning coaching staff with Detroit in 2008. And he was part of Detroit's coaching staff in 2006 during Steve Yzerman's farewell season. In fact, that Cup win was what led to Todd McClellan getting the a head coaching gig with the Sharks in 2009 to begin with. They even won the President's Trophy his first year as head coach. So a proven winner in the league. Like, I don't know if he's going to be 100% the long-term solution, but he's definitely good for the short-term to help the development and get this thing back on track. And he's on a multi-year deal which expires around the same time as Steve Yzerman's contract. Which means now McClellan and Steve Yzerman are both tied to the hip, which means that if this goes wrong, Steve Yzerman's probably next to get fired. And he might be sharing a cab with Tom McClellan out of Detroit. But yeah, now this falls on Steve Yzerman to now turn this thing around. Because Steve Yzerman, he needs to improve on a lot of things though. I mean, needs to get better luck in the mid-round drafting. Because his first-round picks have been absolute hits, but his mid-round drafting, he hasn't had the same luck as he did in Tampa Bay. And he needs to get better at free agent signings. I mean, that and maybe Chris Ilitch needs to stop meddling in day-to-day operations and just let Steve Yzerman do his damn job for fuck's sakes. Especially with that shit about Stamkos and Trouba coming out recently. And of course, on the first game of the Tom McClellan era, it got off to a rough start as they got completely blown out by the Leafs. I mean, we kind of expected that it wasn't going to immediately change overnight. It was going to take time. But after that game, we would see how much different the team was under Tom McClellan compared to Derek Lalonde. As the first practice with Tom McClellan after the game against Toronto, it was the first time this year the Wings had a practice go over an hour long. What the hell? So you're telling me practices with Derek Lalonde were less than an hour? What in the actual fuck was Derek Lalonde and the Wings doing this whole time? Practices less than an hour? How the fuck is that acceptable for NHL standards? Like, practices less than an hour? That's nearly the fucking length of Pee-wee hockey practices, for Christ's sakes. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I've seen, like, Jesus Christ, that's almost that's Pee-wee level hockey. Having practices less than an hour. What in the actual fuck? How the fuck did Derek Lalonde get a head coaching job to begin with? Like, if there was any doubts about firing Derek Lalonde, well, now there's no fucking doubts, because practices less than an hour, that's unacceptable. Like, that is not fucking good enough to be a real NHL franchise. But then we all saw how much different it really got with Tom McClellan getting pissed at the boys. And telling the boys, quote, to play fucking hockey, you've been doing it your whole lives. I mean, you can't fault Derek Lalonde there, Tom McClellan there, that is the truth. I mean, they're being paid millions to play hockey. They've been doing it probably since they were 4 or 5 years old. So they should know how to do it when you're in the NHL and you're getting paid millions to play a kid's sport. But the Wings had the boys had two choices here. Either you take this message personally, or you lose the locker room again. The Wings, they listened to that message well, and responded pretty well against the Capitals as they got off to a quick start against Washington with 4 goals in the first period against the Capitals, with the only goal in the first period being Alex Ovechkin's 870th goal, which now puts Ovechkin 25 goals away from passing Wayne Gretzky. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that thing about Ovechkin trying to catch Gretzky's record. It's still a thing. I say, Jesus Christ, Ovechkin, you're gonna fucking... I know Ovechkin's been gone for like a couple months because of that leg injury, but Jesus Christ, Ovi, you're gonna get on it already. Like, come on, we all know you're gonna break Wayne Gretzky's goal record. Fucking break the damn thing already. Jesus Christ, get it over with. But yeah, even despite the Capitals getting the goal in the third period, they could not get enough to catch Detroit as the Wings held on. As once the Wings got off to that quick 4-goal period to start off against Washington, they never really looked back and got the win. And that's the first win in the Tom McClellan era. And that win against Washington now puts Tom McClellan 1 win away from 600 career wins in the NHL as a head coach. So yeah, it looks like things are getting back on track. As of pretty much a lot of the traits that Tom McClellan has, which is accountability, hold the players accountable, which is something Derek Lalonde never did. I mean, we all saw that there was no culture and that Lalonde lost the locker room. Especially when you have practices less than a fucking hour and you're running the equivalent of Pee-wee hockey practices. Like, what the actual fuck? It's fucking crazy what kind of shit comes out once somebody gets the axe. But yeah, looks like things are definitely going to be a lot different under Todd McClellan. Now, whether the Waynes can salvage a playoff spot or not, it's to be determined. I mean, there's still a lot of hockey to go. Like, we're only 36 games in, you know, out of an 82-game season. The Waynes got one more game left in 2024 before the 2025 portion of the season begins. You know, there's still a long ways to go. The Waynes could pull it off, but they're going to need a lot of hope, and they're going to need to get on a massive run. It's very possible, but they're going to need a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of work to do this second half of the season. But we shall see if Tom McClellan is good in the short run or if he can do some things in the long run. But definitely a massive upgrade over Derek Lalonde, that's for sure. But yeah, just another week of Waynes hockey, but maybe the fucking inconsistency and the dick punches and the fucking frustrations will be coming to an end pretty shortly. Especially since a lot of the Waynes games this year have just led me to asking, when do the Lions play again? Don't worry, they play tomorrow night, folks. But yeah, anyway, that wraps it up here. At least the Waynes are now getting back on track. And at least Derek Lalonde's finally fucking gone. Now Steve Yzerman has no more excuses. It's put up or shut up. And Chris Ilitch has no more excuses either. Just stay the fuck out of day-to-day operations and let Stevie Y and Tom McClellan do their goddamn jobs for fuck's sakes.